dreams retire, we set them free, shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.
Hello and welcome to Unconventional Wisdom about conventional wisdom, where cliches come to retire and fresh thinking we inspire. I am delighted to introduce to you today Tonya McKenzie, a PR guru. She has her own agency, and you're going to hear tons about her and all of her accomplishments. I'm super excited, and I know that she has lots of wisdom to give you for you to be able to unlock something fabulous for yourself today. Tonya, why don't we start by introducing yourself, your business, and all? You do a lot of things. You can tell us about.
Well, first, Kim, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love the opportunity to connect with amazing people doing amazing things that sometimes might get stuck and need a little help because I have been that person. So I'm Tonya McKenzie, founder of Sand and Shores. It is a PR marketing communications firm in Redondo Beach, California. I've been doing this now for 9 years. I got a LinkedIn reminder, congratulations on your business. So I was like, 9 years? Oh my God. So 9 years I've been doing this, but I've been in PR since my college days. My first internship was working at our health center as a PR person for a special project for our health center. I'll tell you about that later. But I'm also a LA County Commissioner of Alcohol and Other Drugs. I have been in public service. My first commission, I was appointed, like 15 years ago, but didn't realize at the time how important those positions were because I was just doing a job. Side note, I'm a habitual complainer, but I am someone that will actually do the work to help solve the problem, or I won't complain about it. So I do watch what I habitually complain about, but that's what commissioners are, is we are problem solvers for the county, the state, the cities that we are appointed. And most of those positions are appointed by someone else that was elected. So being a part of solving problems in those areas, for the most part, I am a PR, media, marketing savant. I would like to say a storyteller, a master storyteller. And these days, that's what we need because stories help us connect. And I'm the mom of 4. If you want to put that in there as jobs, I'll take that too.
Yes, I'm a mom of 3, so that is no small job at all, no matter how old your kids are.
Absolutely. It never ends. My
Does.
oldest has a master's and he is still needy.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Needy.
All right. Random question. What's the strangest talent that you have that one day may save you?
So when I was a cheerleader, I learned that I could jump really high. And I'm 5'2", so it made a difference. I say all that to say I realized what helps me jump that high. So I continue to work on it. It's my quads, obviously, glutes, and my calves. I work on them constantly. I recognized at an early age what some of my best assets are. How would it save my life one day? Hopefully I don't have to fight my way out of something because I will leg wrestle a man and have no problem winning. Okay, let me just say that. I can run fast and I can kick open a door if I need to. Hopefully those are some unconventional talents that will save my life one day.
I love that. And I am just going to say that you and I are just about the same height. And I think we look very tall sitting down.
I do too. I like this format.
It's funny. I was on a Zoom with a gentleman who looked the same height as us and happened to mention that he is 7 feet tall. And I was like, wow, that is something, right? Something that you would not be able to tell sitting here on Zoom.
That's telling when it comes to perception in the media.
Oh, say more about that.
Those that are controlling the media right now have a way of manipulating perception to fit whatever narrative it is that they're trying to paint at the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that is the exact truth. It also puts a lot of credence on us to be truth seekers. So it becomes our job. We've left that time where there was like a Peter Jennings and Dan Rather that you felt like you could trust to give you good information. Now it's like they're giving me information. I need to go validate it. I need to go double check it.
Right.
And perception becomes reality for a lot of people. And then for others, we still thirst for validation.
Right. Right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. You know what is interesting about validating information? I had something happen yesterday. We've all heard about Chat GPT and how it can quote unquote hallucinate. So it can make things up. And we've heard like law cases where it's done that. Chat GPT can give you something that sounded perfectly factual that was wrong.
Well, I think we need to remember that it is still human learning. So it learns from humans, and humans are flawed. There's a lot of humans right now that have the mic that are giving false information. So if the computer is learning from humans, which are imperfect, you are going to get that information. It is not meant, and I think a lot of people get this so wrong, is especially with the fear of Chat GPT, it's going to take my job. I mean, there are some jobs they're going to be able to automate with it, but for the most part, it is about ideation. It is not a perfect science. It is not exact. And most of the time, you are going to need to edit and sometimes even verify the information that you get from ChatGPT and all of these other AI apps.
I agree 100%. The line that I've heard recently, which I love, is ChatGPT is not necessarily going to take your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI will.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you cannot run from it. I spoke at a conference in Poland, and it was a global conference. And I had the opportunity to sit and speak with media and communications professionals from different countries. A lot of them were still not even, their countries were not allowing them yet to start using it. And some of the ones that did have access were afraid to start. So literally our conversation was like, where do I start? Oh my God, you guys use that? It's like this big boogeyman, but it's going to wind up being just like social media. There were so many people that were like, I don't need social media to run my business. And then 10 years later, they're behind. Now they need someone to come in and teach them how to use it. And they need someone to come in and manage it for them. The truth of the matter is being afraid of something new only puts you further behind. So just embrace it. Learn at a pace that you're comfortable with. Play with it. Find people that you can ask questions. And if you're on social media, people love to share that type of information. What's the best type of AI for your business and things of that nature? But fear keeps us stalled, and we need to learn to move past that. But you're right. If you don't learn it, someone that knows it will take your job.
Definitely. Curious minds want to know, what's a piece of conventional wisdom that you followed early on that you thought was your path to success or everybody's path to success that you realized later on was completely wrong for you?
I would say prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Sounds good. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. If you plan and do your due diligence, you do not have to prepare for the worst. You can prepare for the best. What happens is people don't prepare for success. A lot of people are afraid of success, so they don't plan for it. It's like someone that says, I want all this media attention. I want this article to come out with me in it. I want all these things. Show me your systems for what you're going to do with the leads that come in from that article. Show me how you're going to utilize the accolades that you get from that story. Show me what you're going to do with that podcast interview from a top tier organization that is meant to bring you a lot of credibility. What are you going to do with it? Oh, you don't know? What do you mean you don't know? Like, what are we talking about here? So it's also prepare for the best, because we don't often just fear or doubt. That's one of those things that I had to restructure my mind to process. Prepare for the best. Prepare for what happens if this does take flight, because at some point you're going to keep trying and it will. And then you're stuck with, I don't have a funnel for this. My CRM isn't set up for this. I don't know what to say to them when they call. I don't have anyone calling them once they've called in. I don't have any appointments being set because my calendar wasn't ready. There's so many things that you miss out on when you don't prepare to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I will tell you, when you said that, I kid you not, I had chill bumps. It's so true. My experience as a business coach is exactly that. People really and truly are so fixated on what doesn't work, they can't even picture themselves being successful. And it makes them very uncomfortable a lot of times. It's sage advice. Prepare for success. And I think you're not just saying vision wise, but literally prepare. What do you need to have in place to take advantage? Why do all that and then shoot yourself in the foot?
It happens so often, which is crazy because you'll have people that have imagined what it would be like if a media piece hit and they got 1,000 people that called in all of a sudden, or they went viral, but they didn't put anything in place for even half of that success, for even half of the response. Are you even tracking the traction that you're getting from this? And the answer is no. And what do you do with that?
There is one thing to think about success, there's another thing to also prepare your mind, have a success mindset, and what that looks like. There is a correlation between what you believe about yourself and your success ability to execute a plan to make sure that the media attention that you're getting, the leads that you're getting are actually processable.
I think people forget that is actually what that coverage is for. It's to validate you, show your credibility, and then open you up for opportunity.
Right.
Not utilizing it correctly, it's a throwaway.
I have a question for you. This is a very personal thing, but hopefully you as a listener, this will resonate with you. Look at me, right? I am somebody who says, pay attention to me. I always wear bright colors. I have a big personality. And then I get a little shy. One way that I frame it for myself, at least for what I do, is that someone needs to hear this message about how to be successful in your own authentic way, in an unconventional way. That actually is a message that I'm passionate about, will unlock somebody and really help people. So when I get too fixated on my own stuff around visibility, I remind myself that I'm really the messenger. I don't know if that resonates with you. I mean, you're in PR, you're promoting people, but for me, that's how I get over myself. What do you think about that?
I instruct and mentor other PR professionals. And one of the hardest things for PR marketing professionals to do is market themselves. It is so hard. I almost scream on them, but I also have a hard time doing it. I make myself do it. That's really what it comes down to. You have to force yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to force yourself into uncomfortable circumstances to get the results you want. There's a book called Brag Better that teaches us how to find creative ways to elevate our own voices and our own visibility without feeling like we're being attention whores, so that we can promote our professional self, but at the same time, stay enough in the background to give our work shine. It is a delicate balance, I think. And you're like, oh, the colors, the loud colors. Well, that's you, though. That is,
It is me.
I can tell that. That is who you are authentically, but it might not be the boisterous, I'm amazing. That's not necessarily your authentic self.
That is definitely not
And
me.
that balance is, you're always playing with it. Like, where's that comfortable space? How do I make sure people know I'm authentic and my work is quality without feeling like I need the spotlight? So I think it just becomes a balance, but also knowing that we do have to show up.
Right, exactly. I also think anybody who has to shout from the rooftops how good they are is quite insecure.
I do, I agree. And for you to have to run out and be like, I am the best at, I'm incredible, I am the most, like, come on, sir.
Right. Well, the other thing is, I always think that you are coming from a place of insecurity because if you have to tell me how great you are, then you don't trust that I can actually see how great you are.
So when I explain to people the difference between PR and marketing, I always say marketing is you telling people how great you are. PR is other people telling other people how incredible you are. And there's a science to that. There's a science to getting people to share information about you. There is a way, a professional way that you go about getting recommendations. There's a professional way that you go about getting journalists to want to write about you, podcasters to want to have you on their show. You are giving me credibility. So I don't need to run out and say, I'm credible. I am an amazing PR person. You're saying, hey, let me tell my audience about her because I've done my research and I trust her and I trust what I have read and done my research on to have her on my platform. That is in itself a level of credibility that people don't recognize how important that is.
Right. 100%. You've got a successful business and you've been doing it for a long time. You clearly are an expert. I'm saying that about you because this conversation is deep and the depth of your knowledge really comes through. What's one thing that on the outside people think that you have all figured out and on the inside you are still struggling with?
Controlling your emotions.
Say more about that.
So in business, you should be able to separate your personal from professional, your personal beliefs from your professional performance, right? You're not supposed to get emotionally tied to things, stay logical. But the truth of the matter is, in our profession, if we don't allow ourselves to actually connect with our emotion, we miss the opportunity to tell impactful stories because it's the impact and the emotion of the impact that allows for us to write and pitch in a way that will connect with the next person. So being able to suppress your emotions, and I guess it's control it, but never separate from it. And I don't know if people see that or they just assume, because in certain businesses you can. You're an accountant, you have no emotional connection to numbers and other people's money. But if you are someone that is literally paid to connect emotion to an audience, how do you sculpt out your emotion and have no attachment to the things that are going on in the stories that you are telling? It won't resonate. We can go back to what you were talking about earlier with the Chat GPT. That's why in certain industries, you're never going to be able to replace it because some of it is emotional.
That really resonates with me. I am somebody who takes in information emotionally. That's my experience of the world. I have really had to figure out what that balance is. And it's a case by case basis. One thing I will say, which is an interesting thing as a coach, helping people get from wherever they are to whatever goal it is that they're asking or that they're wanting to get to. In my personal life, I am one of the most impatient people you will ever meet. As I am working with people, being so clear that it's not my journey, it's their journey. And it's going to take them as long as it's going to take them. And my job is to support them to figure out better ways to help them get what they want. If they are not there, try to figure out what is stopping them. But my job is not just to push them forward. It is challenging, though, sometimes because you want the best for them.
So I've learned that you can't want more for people than they want for themselves.
That might be the takeaway. Although I
Because
think
see it.
the plan for success is pretty profound.
You're like, I see it. I know what success looks like in your life if you listen to me. But
Yeah.
man, I can't make you want the vision that I'm seeing, that you said you wanted. And I'm visualizing what it looks like when it turns out after you followed my professional expertise. I see paradise. And they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Tonya, let me ask you this as a follow-up. You've been in business now for a while, and especially when you're on your own, where you really can choose your own clients. Do you think your ability to choose the right clients for you is a little bit more honed in because you can't want more for your client than they want for themselves? Do you find that you look for that alignment?
Oh, now,
Yeah.
first 5 years? No.
I call those clients the gift that keeps on giving. The clients that we took that we knew were totally wrong for us and we did it anyway because we were building our business. Thank you for the gift of a terrible engagement.
Even things that as entrepreneurs we get involved with, right? I also write, I freelance, and there was a publication I've done a few articles for, and he was like, I want you to continue writing for us. But I write a lot of celebratory, overcoming stories, the good stuff. And you have to go through bad stuff in order to get through the good stuff. So there's a little conflict there and a little rise to the top, but most of it is celebratory, historical, and listicles and things. And he was like, you have access and we need some other kind of story, like the clickbait. And I was like, I ain't doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have access. I'm not using it for that. So being able to decide what you will and won't do, but that's part of a personal brand, which is why I preach it so much. When you have really carved out who you are as a person, as a professional, that means your goals, who you are as a person, your beliefs, all of those things, your morals, those things are a part of your personal brand. So when you are making decisions as to who you are going to bring on as a client or who you're going to work for, or even who you're going to work with, those things come into play while you're making that decision. And that helps you feel like you don't need to take a shower after every conversation with somebody you didn't want to work with.
There you go. Amen to that.
Because trying to keep your business open for the first 5 years, it's like, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because he pays well. And after a while, you're like, you know
Right.
what? They don't make enough soap and wine for this.
There you go. And which really goes to the conventional wisdom. Well, I don't know if it's conventional wisdom, but people will say, if I come up against a client who I don't really want to work with, who I know is going to be a pain, then I'll just charge them an extraordinary amount of money. And if they're willing to pay the money, then I'll work with them. My answer to that is, let me think about that. No. Because really, in my book, if we're not aligned in all the things you just talked about, you're not a good client for me. And honestly, there's no amount of money that changes that.
There's no amount of money, and you can't do your best work. When you're uninspired, you can't do your best work.
Right.
You can do work,
That's
but your
right.
best work.
Exactly. One of the criteria that I like to have for my clients is, and listen, I have clients all over the world. So this is not a literal thing, but do I want to go have a glass of wine with you? Do I want to go to happy hour? Do I want to hang out with you? If the answer to that is no, then you are not my client.
And it's okay to say that. Like, I think that becomes the point of starting your own business is for the first time, I was able to fire a client.
There
Like,
you go.
this ain't
Amen to
working.
that. Yep, absolutely. All right, Tonya, if you could rewrite the rule book on leadership, what's one outdated belief that you'd throw out immediately, and what would you replace it with?
The leader does not run the show. They don't. They're there to moderate. They are there to amplify the good ideas. They are there to administrate and help the solutions become reality. But they ain't the boss. You're not the boss. That's not how you lead. It's not, especially when there's a group, it's not the way that it's done. It's very collaborative. If you're a leader that does not have self-esteem issues, you welcome other ideas. As a matter of fact, my husband, who has his own company, says, I only hire people smarter than me. I only hire people smarter than me, because if I could do it all, I'd just do it all myself. I need people that bring something to the table. And you can't bring smart people to the table and then stifle them,
Right.
stifle their growth, stifle their thought leadership. You're there
Right.
to help them elevate while you're elevating said goal, said project, said financial goals. You're there to help that. But if you're bringing the right people to the party, it's your job to facilitate the conversations and the duties that help elevate all of the smartness that's in the room, all of the energy, all of the creativity.
Right.
But yeah, you're not the boss, you're just the facilitator.
I agree with you. I think we all have had a boss or seen people who feel like they're under attack unless they are the smartest person in the room. And so if there's somebody on their team who happens to be smarter than them, they'll take credit for their ideas, they'll stifle them, all sorts of bad things happen. So I agree. That's wise. Absolutely.
One of my best leadership learning processes was through the YMCA. The YMCA is a great organization for professional development. We had this leadership summit, and I was an associate executive director at the time. They said, sometimes we just take the titles, just, we're not here for titles. For a while in our organization, we just stopped using titles. We needed that on paper, but we're a team. And instead of titles, we'll just have duties. We've tried various different things to show as a group, we work better together when we just know what our job is. On a basketball team, everybody has a job. Really, it don't matter what position they're playing, because it don't matter if you're the center if you're not doing the center's job. And sometimes you might have to do somebody else's job. So what does your title do for that? Nothing. We need to work together to get this done, or to elevate, or to do these types of things. We've had some culture conversations. We had great opportunities where we took titles away and took off. We used to come in with our name tags. Take off the name tags. Doesn't matter. We're going to start respecting each other as individuals. It was an opportunity to really see how people can function as a team rather than a lead.
Very interesting. So, what's one unconventional habit or mindset shift that's helped you grow your business?
It's really that you never know everything about the business, and you have to consistently be a learner. You have to be open. You have to be pliable. Even if it's something that you've done for so long, a certain way, because the industry is constantly shifting, should your mind.
Right.
You will get left behind.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. When I'm coaching, one of I think the most interesting thing about being a good listener and having a certain mindset when you listen is to hear where a client starts with solving a problem, and to be able to stand back and say, you actually need to start before that and challenge your assumption.
I like
But
that.
because you're looking at this in the way that you've always looked at things. We need to stand back and look at where you are starting with this conversation. It's really important because if I just step in and say, no, I think you should solve it this way, then they don't actually understand that it is a mindset shift. You are doing the thing that you always do that gets you into a pattern that does not serve you.
How did we even get here? Like,
Exactly.
how did we even get here? No, it's back there.
That's right. I think the other context that you're talking about, especially in the world of marketing and PR, is that the technology changes, the algorithms change, how you reach your audience changes. And if you keep doing things the same way, you will definitely be left behind.
But even the way that we made a joke, I have these PR groups, and it was somebody made a joke like, yeah, you're going to fax that over to me? And I almost died because
Yeah.
it's just a moment where I was like, we have come so far. And then it was contacting every individual newspaper one at a time. Now we have a whole software platform. But at the end of the day, public relations, marketing, communications, it's all about connection. So you also need to learn how to do that without having so much in the middle between you and the person. The technology is to help you, but if you depend on it to do the work, you are going to lose, and your client is going to lose, because
Right.
it is a business of people, communication, and connection.
Whew. I have one last question for you. Many leaders secretly deal with imposter syndrome, no matter how much success they achieve. When the voice of doubt creeps in for you, how do you handle it? What advice do you have for our listener about something that might help them?
So when I'm dealing with it, I have an outlet. I go work out. Some people hate that, but it's my me time. And I have to think through it. Where is this conversation going left? Is it them or is it me? Is it something inside of me that's not maybe communicating clearly? Maybe I'm ill prepared. Maybe my presentation isn't on point. Let me double check those. And at the end of the day, when you show up as your best self and you know that going in, however it ends up, you need to be okay with it. Because if you're not for them, that's fine too. And I think becoming okay with who I am as a professional, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a sister, as a Black woman in this world, if I'm okay with it and I've put everything that I have into said project or conversation or pitch, however it ends, I'm okay with that. Because sometimes everything's not for me and I'm not for everyone, but also they might not be for me. Sometimes things don't happen because I always lean back on my brand. Branding isn't just you telling the world who you are. It's also telling them who you're not. It's also saying who I'm not going to capitulate to. It's also saying you are not for me. I'll give you a quick for instance. Chick-fil-A. People love them. They love their food, but they're very clear about who they are. They're very clear about why they're not open on Sunday. They're very clear about what they do. Their brand is very strong on what they do not support.
That's
So if you choose to go there, if you choose to spend your dollars there, you are okay with who they are. They're telling you who they are. But if you're not going to support that business because of who they are, they're fine with it. They're not running from it. They're not trying to hide who they are. They're not trying to tuck away in a corner this part of their brand. They're saying, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is what our product. We stand behind it. And we hope you love it. And if you come, great. And if you don't, that's great too. And we're going to be okay. We have to function like that. We have to function as professionals, as human beings in this world, with putting our best self out there and saying, this is who I am, being okay with however that ends. Everybody is not for you. And that is my best advice for imposter syndrome, because you're never going to be able to please everyone, but you damn well better be able to please yourself. You better be able to sleep at night. So trying to pretend that you're something else so that you don't feel like you're less than, you're not. You're just not for them. And that's okay too.
And I think that reframe is really helpful. sometimes it's hard not to take these things personally.
Absolutely.
And I do like the other thing that you said, which I'm paraphrasing, but what was my part of this? We can't control all the things that happen to us externally. People will be people, situations will be situations. As I tell my kids all the time, we call it an accident because it happened accidentally. How you respond to that is all you. What your experience of that is, that's on you.
Yep.
That's where your choice comes in. And I am not saying that bad stuff doesn't happen, because bad stuff does happen. And there are bad people. And where you choose to spend your energy and how you choose to process those things is something that is in your control. And the other thing is too, is that maybe you need help, right? Maybe you need help to do that. You don't have to do it on your own. You've got people that can help you with those things. I do love, what is the universe telling me about this? This was not mine. I'm good.
Also, we didn't talk about this, but a lot of people function from a place of unresolved trauma.
Right.
And whatever that might be, the lacking attention as you were growing up or something you went through, everything comes out as this personal attack or something personal about yourself. But here's the thing, maybe your trauma wasn't your fault, but your recovery is your responsibility. When you decide you want things to turn out better and different, you have to deal with those things that keep putting you in a negative mindset, including imposter syndrome, because I have met people that don't have it. And I'm always just baffled, but they've done the work.
Right.
They've done the work to recognize when it's coming. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's your trauma response to it. How do you respond to
Right.
imposter syndrome? Because even most successful people deal with it. So it's a thing, it's regular, but how do you respond to it?
That's right. And I think it also ties back to one of the first things you said, which is, what's your plan for success? If all you're ever doing is looking backwards and you've got all these patterns that you're not even aware of that play, no matter how successful you are, you keep playing out over and over again. Yes, you need to do the work on your trauma in your head. You also need to have a plan for success.
What is your plan for success?
Yeah. Wow. Whew. All right. Tonya, we did it. So much wisdom and so many gems here. I can't wait for listeners to hear this and really dig into the wisdom that you gave us today.
I really hope that it's helpful for anyone that's dealing with trauma or trying to feel like, where's their place? Where is their wins? They're out there. You just have to stop being afraid of them.
Right. Exactly. And take every single one that you get and celebrate it.
Learn to
No
brag
matter
better.
how big, how small.
Brag better. Yeah.
There you go. Love it. All right. Well, Tonya, thank you so much. Sand and Shores PR, right?
Yep.
This is Kim Miller-Hershon with Unconventional Wisdom about conventional wisdom, where cliches come to retire and fresh thinking we inspire. Thank you.
Cliches retire, we set them free, shaking the ground with epiphany. Fresh thinking loud, it's our decree. Unconventional wisdom dancing on the beat.